Here's a guy 40 times smarter than me, a black gentleman now named Walter E. Williams. He's a black professor of economics at like George Washington University or whatever. I might get the school wrong. But the headline is racism responsible for today's black problems?
No!
But many Americans are supporting some of the responses to Floyd's death, rioting, looting, wanton property destruction, assaults on the police, and other kinds of mayhem by both whites and blacks. The pretense is that police conduct stands as the root of black problems. Now, I'm going to read you. This is I'm going to read the whole page because it's so laid out in facts. And that's the professor right there. Another example. Okay, he did it. When I say that, I mean, he's a fucking brilliant guy, but I'm just saying. But now this is the article. I'm going to read it to you. He's obviously saying that racism isn't responsible. I'll get into it, and then you'll see where I've been preaching this forever. According to the NAACP, from 1882, not 1980, 1882 to 1968, there were 3,446 black people lynched at the hands of whites. Today, being murdered by whites or policemen should be the least of black worries. In recent times, there is an average of 9,252 black-on-black murders every year. Over the past 35 years, that translates into nearly 324,000 blacks murdered at the hands of other blacks. Only a tiny percentage of blacks are killed by police. For example, in Chicago this year, there were 414 homicides with a total of 2,078 people shot. So far in 2020, 3 people have been killed by police and 4 were shot. That's it. Manhattan Institute scholar Heather McDonald, she's got a great book, I haven't read it yet, reports, she does all this stuff about race, that a police officer is 18 and a half times more likely to be killed by a black male than an unarmed black male is to be killed by a police officer. 18 and a half times. The most devastating problem is the very weak black family structure. Bing, bing, bing. What have I been saying? Less than a third of black children live in a 2-parent household, and the illegitimacy rate stands at 75%. There was a famous senator, it was a Patrick Moynihan. I always get was it Moynihan? He was writing about this in 1966, about the dissolution of the black family. In 1960, and it's still going on. The legacy of slavery is often blamed for all this, the illegitimacy rate. Such an explanation turns out to be sheer nonsense when one examines black history. I didn't even know this. Even during slavery, where marriage was forbidden, most black children lived in biological 2-parent families. Professor Herbert G. Gutman's research in the Black Family in Slavery and Freedom, 1750 to 1925, found that 3/4 of 19th century slave families, all the children had the same mother and father. In New York City in 1925, 85% of black households were 2-parent. In fact, 5 and 6 children under the age of 6 lived with both parents. In 1880, and the U.S. government's to blame too. Sending checks, welfare checks, making it profitable for a young black woman to not have a husband in the house. An 1880 study of family structure in Philadelphia shows that 3/4 of all black families were nuclear families. The percentages of nuclear families were black were 75%. Irish was 82, German 84, and Native white American 73. Only 1/4 of black families were female-headed, as opposed to today. Going back 100 years, when blacks were just one generation out of slavery, we find that census data of that era showed that a slightly higher percentage of black adults were married more than white adults. This fact remained true in every census from 1890 to 1940. Okay?
I know a thing or two about a thing or two.
If today's weak family structure is a legacy of slavery, then the people who make such a claim must tell us how it has managed to skip nearly 5 generations to have that effect, which is a great question.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Problems that black people face give white leftists cover for all their anti-American agenda. Fucking brilliant. See, when you dig down into the fact, compare that, and you can't argue with that. Those are numbers and facts. Compare that to what you're being told for the last 30 or 40 years in this country by the mainstream media. It's a big fucking lie, but it's become the truth.